All right, Chuck Moscowitz here. My guest is Teisha Powell, who is
Hi.
an attorney and an activist, a commentator, culture critic. Teisha, thanks for joining me today.
Thanks for having me, Charles.
Teisha, you've been involved in recently in conservative politics, so I have to ask you a question that I mean I'm often asked this question myself as a Jew. I'm asked why are Jews so liberal? Why do they all vote Democratic? So I want to ask you, why are so many black folk liberal, and why do they all vote Democratic?
Well, that's because the Democratic Party, I mean, they're a powerful entity. They have controlled the voices of the black. They've controlled the minds of black people. They have told black people for years not to leave the Democratic Party because the Republican Party is racist. So you have most of these black people 50 and over that they just go with the Democratic. I remember coming to this country at 19. I was told automatically I'm a Democrat. I'm
Mm.
like, but I don't even believe in killing is. They say, doesn't matter, you're black, you have to be a Democrat. This is what all my relatives told me, that the minute you're black, you automatically become a Democrat. And I thought for myself, and I'm like, I am not going to be a Democrat. I don't want to kill any more black babies. I don't want the government to tell me what I'm going to eat, what I'm going to wear, and where I'm going to live. Because the Democratic Party is a socialist party, and it's not going to get any better. It's only going to get worse. When we think of the Obamacare, we think of socialism.
No, I mean I totally agree with that, and I think that there's a cultural element to it, especially among Jews. It's not something that's conscious. It's that they're Democrats because their grandparents and great grandparents were Democrats, and they voted for Franklin Roosevelt. Never mind the fact that he didn't care about the Holocaust. It doesn't matter. The fact is that this is the way they did it, and this is the way we're supposed to do it, and this is what our establishment tells us to do. And I think the same dynamic is in the black community. The establishment black community is very much in cahoots with the Democratic Party. There are various incentives associated with that. People have careers based on that. But yet the Democratic Party doesn't offer black people anything but two things, and that's abortion and welfare. I
Yeah,
mean, there's nothing positive there.
it's absolutely nothing positive, and it's just sad that the blacks are willing to give away their votes. I mean, we have Trump who did a prison reform. He's getting black people out of jail.
Yeah.
Warren, Sanders, Biden, they did nothing. They've had all the time in Senate to do something about blacks, and they did nothing because they take the black vote for granted. That's the whole thing. They're going to get the black vote regardless of what's done. But I think Donald Trump is making a difference today for blacks. And blacks are beginning to say, yeah, I kind of like the idea of working. I kind of like
Yeah.
the idea of the prison reform. And most blacks don't want socialism because socialism is a form of slavery. At that point, the government is gonna dictate everything you do.
Well, I mean, the unemployment rate among Black Americans is the lowest it ever recorded in history. Recent polls show that Trump's numbers have gone up considerably, particularly among Black men more than women. And I think that there's a movement afoot. I think that, I can't really point to it tangibly, but I think that there is definitely an awakening and that people are thinking, hey, what is in not only my best interest, but what's in the best interest of my country and my future? Plus, I think Black people tend to be more conservative than people realize. The Black church is one of the great moral forces of America. I think it revitalized Christianity, including the white church. I mean, Black entrepreneurialism is an incredible power, and it's you want to, the idea of making a positive business atmosphere and getting rid of bad regulation and leaving taxes where they belong, which is in the pockets of the creator. This is something that's helping people get into business. I mean, I would think that those are ideas that can actually appeal to Black people because they empower Black people, just like they empower all people.
Yes, and that's what I wrote in my book, Trump Must Win, Discover the Dark Days Americans Will Face. I told the Republican Party, just forget the 50 and over blacks. Let's go after the ones under 50, the ones like me that have a job, because they only know Trump. The young blacks only know Trump. When you think about it, he's been in office for 4 years. A lot of them already graduated from college and they're getting a job. So they don't see the racism that the Democratic Party have been telling them about. This is why the Democratic Party wants to impeach Donald Trump, because he is taking a lot of the black votes from them, and he's taking a lot of the middle class from them. And it's going to take years for the Democratic Party to change. I was told that Trump is going to flip more blue states into red. So there is a reason Democrats are like saying they don't want any more Trump. It's like he's disturbing the socialist agenda.
Well, that's why they have to impeach him. That's the only way to stop him. And so they're going to go after him for something, to some excuse to try to get him out of office. But yet, I don't think that even, God forbid, they're successful. I don't think it's still going to work. There's a movement afoot that he has unleashed. And really, the one card that they have in their hand is one that should be rejected by all people. And that is the use of the race card in a way that's not authentic. You know, they'll pick up some little thing that somebody said in 1973, and you know, they were here and they went over to this place and they were seen with that, and they'll claim that this person, therefore, under the microscope, they must be racist. And you know, it's the most perfect example of tyranny I've ever seen. President Trump rejects that. Now he can be crude and he can be rude and he can be offensive in his style, but he's that way toward everyone. It's not, you know, he doesn't single out anyone based on race or gender. He tends to go after his enemies, doesn't care what their race is or what their gender is. You know, he goes, when he feels confronted, he'll take his fist out, and that's his style. I mean, it can be sometimes cringeworthy, but it's not that he has something against any group of people. And I think that more people are realizing that, but yet it takes this weapon away from the left, who wants to use some kind of monopoly on deciding who is racist, and that they get to decide this. It's very arrogant.
And that's the thing. It's a narration. That's what it's all about. They always want to say the Republican Party is racist. Well, action speaks louder than words. If you're a racist, you wouldn't be doing prison reform that release a lot of black people. Even Democrats you hear the CNN people are saying, "Ooh, Trump did something good." I mean, you know, you said that they're going to be successful if they're successful in impeachment. I don't think they're going to be successful in impeachment, because I think that it's a circus. All of the witnesses are all biased. They're retaliating against Donald Trump. And number three, it's all based upon hearsay. It's gossip. That's what it is. Nobody actually was on the phone call. They think they heard, they overheard, they're eavesdropping. I mean, it's just like,
it's hearsay.
Yeah, how can you trust an eavesdropper? You're not supposed to be listening on somebody's phone call. If they're not talking to you, it's none of your business. So really, now you're going to report to us what Donald Trump said, even though he wasn't talking to you? You're at a restaurant, a loud restaurant, and you could literally hear what he had to say? I mean, come on, you can't do this in trial court. Why can they do it in DC? But this shows you that the politicians think they're above us. They think they're above the law. And I tell people this is another thing that's scary. If they do it to Donald Trump, they'll do it to us in court. You think it's going to stop there? Other lawyers are watching. They want to do that too. They want to bring somebody in court where you just have to do a transcript and then you don't get to testify. Who wouldn't want that? But is this the right thing to do? Would you like to be accused of a crime and not know what you're being accused of? I mean, we have to do unto others as we'd like them to do unto us.
No, that's right. I mean, even if whether Trump did this thing or not, and even if he did do it, I don't think it's impeachable. It might be bad foreign policy, but even if he did, there's no firsthand witnesses. It's all hearsay, and it's not permissible in court. And the people that have testified are just either witting and consciously trying to have him removed from office because they don't like the fact that his foreign policy puts American interests first, and they're internationalists, or they're just wrapped into this Trump hatred to such an extent that they think stuff and it becomes true in their own minds. I mean, I've noticed this with some of the real hardcore Trump haters, and it's divorced from reality. You know, it's not really resonant with what's actually happening in politics, and they have no understanding at all of the significance of the Trump movement. Now, Teisha Powell, you're someone who is gaining influence as a Black leader in America. You're getting media attention. Have you spoken with President Trump or his people?
Well, I've met President Trump before. I've met him at the Mar-a-Lago because I am a Florida resident. So I
Mm-hmm.
have met him at least 2 or 3 times before. I am an attorney, so I'm not sure if I wrote this book. I am a volunteer at the Republican Party, and I probably will be volunteering for the Trump campaign on a volunteer basis because that's what I've always done. I've always volunteered for the Republican Party. This is not the first time that I've come out being a Republican. Unfortunately, though, I think this is the first time that I'm being attacked. Twitter has permanently suspended my account.
Oh my God,
I'm
really?
getting 1.6 million views, and I
Oh,
said,
that's
no,
horrible.
yes. I was gaining 300 followers per day, and Twitter suspended my account because I heard a bunch of Democrats complain about me. I guess I
Oh
didn't
my
have a
God.
narrative like a black woman supporting Trump. So
Yes.
Twitter didn't want to have anything to do with it. So it was pretty
Yeah.
sad that the government is that powerful. I can't believe the Democratic Party was that powerful to shut down grassroots. I mean, I'm just a regular person. Why
Yeah.
would the Democratic Party complain about me and shut me down? It's crazy,
Well,
but
they're
it's
trying to control speech. I mean, they control the social networks, and there's so many examples of this kind of thing happening. I mean, I've been told that my station has been shadow banned. I mean, it's a difficult atmosphere to operate. We don't have a lot of freedom. But I want to ask you if you are able to get President Trump's ear or people who are close to him. Um, this is just a passing thought on my part, but I think it would be an interesting thing for him to entertain the idea of issuing a national pardon to anyone who is incarcerated at this time for a minor drug offense.
Amen.
In,
Amen.
yes,
That's the fair thing to do. And that's all we can do as grassroots people is bring this to Donald Trump's attention because there are people that are in jail that don't belong there. And we all
yes.
know that. And there is nothing. Elizabeth Warren isn't going to help us. Sanders is not going to help us, Joe Biden. I tell black people they need to jump on the Trump train. We got to be like other people. This is the only time I think a lot of blacks are going to be able to see their families is through Donald J. Trump. I don't think they're going to get another shot of this. I hate to say this.
No, and there's a lot of people, as you
Sad.
say, that are in prison for minor offenses. Probably, I don't know, 100,000 people. To issue a blanket pardon, and a large percentage of them are minorities, to issue a blanket pardon like that, and to then allow them to go through a process by which just to make sure that they're okay and that they're not in trouble, and otherwise, within a period of like a week to 5 weeks, they could be released from prison. I mean, can you imagine how much? First of all, I mean, it's the moral thing to do, it's the right thing to do, but secondly, the amount of money that would be saved by the system, the amount of prison overcrowding that would be reduced. The people could get back out and start to take back their lives. I mean, that would solidify President Trump's support forever and the Republican Party's support, I think, amongst minorities.
And that's what I wrote in my book. I wrote in my book that, Trump opened the door to prison reform. Let's expand it. We,
Yes.
we're not going to be able to expand this under the Democratic Party. I already know that. That's a shut done deal. I mean, Clinton was a three strikes. The Democratic Party are hard on blacks, very hard on blacks when it comes on to anything. The Democratic Party is probably the racist party, and they're just like slaving black people. So I know there is no hope. There is no hope under the Democratic Party for anybody of color.
So, Teisha, you have a book available now on Amazon.com. Could you please let my listeners know where they could get the book, what it's called, and where they could get more information about you and your work?
Yes, it's called Trump Must Win. It's available for sale on Amazon.com. I wish I had a copy with me just to show right now.
Okay.
And speak of the blacks, let's talk about Pete what is his last name?
Buddha Judge, I think.
Judge. Because some people are saying, oh, he's doing well. It's very important people understand he does not like black people. They have him on videos. They have Pete Buttigieg on videos cursing black people out, telling them he doesn't need their vote to win. I was shocked of his arrogance. That's just how much he thinks of black people. He's willing to run this race without getting the black vote. that's a goner. That's when you know this man is just not in tune with reality. I mean, you should see him yelling and cursing at the black people when he's on the campaign trail. And they say, you're not
Oh,
going to get
my.
my vote. He says, I don't need your vote to win. And I'm thinking, wow, wow.
That's incredible. We should put that video up. You know, his constituency is probably the same that Hillary Clinton had: suburban upper class white women. Right? I mean,
Yeah.
that's about what it comes down to. Anyways, but yeah, that's very, very offensive. And I hope that those videos are put up wide for viewing. So, Tish, I want to thank you for joining me this afternoon. Very interesting. Please stay in touch as things progress and as you get more involved in the campaign
Yes.
next year. I'd like to check in with you from time to time.
Yes, Charles. Thank you so much. Thanks for having me on your program.
All right. Thanks a lot. Have a great day.
Same for you, sir.
Thank you.